Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries. As promoted, as I always say, true to my word. Tonight is going to be about Oki dogs. O-K-I dogs. You can Google it. It's had many incarnations. Um, Before mine, before my period there. My period, if if Lucifer owned a hot dog stand in the Valley of the Dolls, then that would be Okie Dogs. Like I said, it's got a long history. My long history, or history at the time with it, was in '81. So we're talking in and around that time. Put that into context with post-punk, what they like to call punk, but everything is post-punk, unless it was in the late '70s in London, pretty much. So again, that's the context. '81. Let's just not say how I got to and from these places. But Okie Dogs was a very rowdy place, but not like it was very punk rock popular, and it was very let me give it just a quick disclaimer. I'm going to be using the DRUG word. I'm going to be identifying certain DRUGS as, and I'm going to allude to pretty nefarious activity. So if that bothers you, you may want to like watch the teaser or something. I don't know. But anyway, so like very rowdy, very eventually, slightly after my period, very odd again, another word. And again, these are colloquialisms of the time, waitress, things like that. So they brought in this trailer that brought in a new kind of activity. I'll let you know. There was also, of course, an intermingling of, I don't want to say losers, but just sort of like hangers oners from the bowels of the city. I don't know. Lots of punk rock. Lots of punk rock. I guess it was '81 and it was the scene there. There were, I mean, curfew was such a joke with the LAPD. It was just ridiculous. Basically, what they would do, me there in an appropriated mode of transportation, usually, would drive through Okidok's parking lot, make a roundabout, and on the bullhorn or whatever would say 10 p.m. curfew, minor 10 p.m. curfew. And then they would come back around at 10:30 and do the same thing. So, and then you were free for the evening in my little car with my friend or compadres in '81 at 14. I am so sorry, you guys, for this timeline, but I can't lie about it. So it is what it is. So heavy punk scene, not oi. Google that, OI. A certain type of punk, not necessarily black flag punk, but more severe, more rowdy in all the wrong ways. So this is going on. There's one game in town as far as clothing. And there's thrift stores, which is everyone's beat. There was a store on Sunset, which I think moved to Melrose eventually. Yes, it did, close to the Groundlings, called Poser. Poser was not very resplendent, especially with articles of clothing. You could get kilts there, you could get boots there, you could get, all the other accessories, and kind of some pretty hardcore clothing. So that was the scene. That was what it looked like, and all of that stuff. So it was during my time also heavy into some other stuff. The the least thing you could do was call a punk rocker there a poser, but you better bolt the F out of there, because that was like the worst word you could use for a punker, as a poser. If you called a punk rocker a poser in '81, you were totally looking to get your ass kicked, full on, full tilt. So there was a particular time at Okie Dogs where, before they moved in that trailer, I'll tell you in a second, it was, like I said, a very heavy scene. Punks, losers, and DRUG dealers. So the DRUG dealers were, their cup runneth over. And what was very popular in 1981 and very easy to get, and like I said, popular, were pills. Um, it was just, pills and liquor were, kind of where it was at. No one was doing mushrooms dropping out. Well, I don't know, maybe some were, but not on my scene, not on this beat. This was a hardcore beat. Unless I wanted to go to like a punk concert, Public Image and Black Flag, this was, pretty rowdy place. So at Okie Dogs, there were all these nefarious characters, like I said, dealers and losers and punk rockers. The soup du jour for folks like myself in particular, and only a few times, were black beauties. Black beauties were amphetamines. You open them up, and there were white powder with little red balls, and you inhaled such item, which was very painful, and it was a pretty strong amphetamine. Again, let me make it clear. I did not drive under these circumstances during this period, okay? The reason I didn't is because it would ruin the high for me. Of all things, of all reasons, that was the reason. That it would totally bum my trip, as one might say. And so I really didn't. I appropriated vehicles, but not under those conditions. And if I became under those conditions, I would stay under those conditions until such time as movement vehicle had to be initiated. So back to Okie Dogs. There was this nefarious scene. There were dealers. There were purchases of black beauties, as I mentioned. And it was a very, very, very rowdy scene. The cops sort of kind of stayed away. Then there was this trailer that they moved in towards the latter part of my period there. I don't know, 82, whatever. That they moved onto the property of Okie Dogs proper and filled it full of like Miss Pac-Man and all those types of things in a line. And it became the digs for hustlers, for sex workers. It also dovetailed with another bar nearby called Hunters, which again was hunting ground, hence the name. So this was the scene, then this strange intermingling of hustlers and that action going down within this trailer that they moved onto Okie Dogs, I suppose per location, popularity. And then there was myself intermingling with hardcore punks and folks, vendors, and of course all of the losers and urchins, and no offense because I was one of them. So the other part of Okie Dogs, besides of all of that nefarious behavior, was the fact that there were minors here involved. And again, just say no or whatever. This was a different time. This was where there was a liquor store on Hollywood Boulevard and La Brea. Tiny one. They would, I swear to God, sell a fifth of Jack Daniels to a 6-year-old with a note. Or without the note. It was just ridiculous. At 14, I could just, whatever, soup du jour. So when we all know what my du jours were from this episode and a couple of previous episodes, not all that long ago. So this was basically a pit stop. It's not somewhere where you necessarily hung out. I guess you could for a while, but basically I would pull in, and nous avons, who I was with, would, hang out. But you were always on your way somewhere else. And I'm going to have a show on the interiors of some of those fabulous places exclusively, not, anyway, stuff that you've heard about, but what it looked like on the inside. So that's kind of pretty much, my kind of experience with Okie Dogs, which is Notorious, and more notorious than infamous. And all you have to do is, Google Okie Dogs, O-K-I dogs, Okie Dogs in Hollywood, and you'll see pictures, not that many, but you'll see and read stuff about it and its history. And again, that is the context of 1981 punk scene. Believe it or not, this kid, this pretty boy, not anymore. Here, let me put it to you this way, and I'll leave it at that, because this is a big question, and I know it is with fans and all that. I went to my first 2 auditions for E.T., the extraterrestrial, okay, dressed in black jeans, black boots, a yellow acrylic sweater, and a muffler tied around my neck. Now, then I went to the prelim, sort of post-audition, prelim sort out, affirmative, not affirmative, hire dinner, or whatever it was, which I mentioned before, the round table, which I would not sit at all night. I just wanted to talk to Melissa Matheson. That's all was my hyper focus, because she's a goddess and she would understand me more than anybody. Thank you. So I went to my first and my second audition that way, and then I show up at this round table, which is not necessarily hired event that I had never heard nor seen before, during, or since. And I was walking around that table chatting to y'all that was making the movie in a ski sweater with a crucifix around my neck. Come on, guys, I was 14. I was not a Catholic. I just loved the intermingling of Roman Catholicism with punk rock. Why would I be wearing a crucifix, and why would that be not odd over a ski sweater and black jeans and black boots? And then the other 2 auditions, a yellow acrylic sweater with skinny black jeans, black boots, and a muffler. So folks that were in production at that time, at $4,000 a week for 9 weeks and a few residuals and a $1,000 bonus check from Universal upon release of a $400-500 million movie, first run globally. I don't know, you get what you pay for, don't you? Anyway, that's my take on Okie Dogs. And I got a few good ones lined up over the next few days. One is heavy, it's going to go over 2 volumes, but I will see you soon enough. So will my previews, and so will my teasers. Okay? Take care and do everything I wouldn't. Well, maybe don't do Okie Dogs. Okay, bye.